my name is Michelle, and in today's video, I'm gonna share with you the progress that I've made in my cozy idle game. For now, the name is catfishing. I will maybe come up with another name later on. Let's go. Sometimes game development can take a slow turn. Initially, I did not intend to publish a video at all this week because of two main reasons. Number one, I felt like there was not enough content to produce a long enough video. Secondly, for those who's been watching for a while, or if you're new here, I previously mentioned that I was made redundant in January, and job hunting in this current market is not easy. Some days are tougher than others, which makes me want to avoid coding at all costs. Sometimes it feels repetitive because most of my days are spent studying and preparing for interviews, which can be stressful. So I somehow ended up playing a game that I've heard good reviews of called Yes Your Grace, where you're a king and have to make tough choices. I really enjoyed these games. The art and storytelling of the game did inspire me to continue my game journey despite being slow. In my previous iteration, I had a main button used for increasing the fish amount and a shop button that opens up the menu, but it's not nicely set up. Since idle games are heavily focused on the user interface, I had to think about the way I want to lay out the menus and settings. I sketched it on a pen and paper, then started reading a lot of documentation on control notes. I learned that containers are really useful to build the desired layout. In my case, I wanted the shop menu to have a tab menu for items and upgrades. Then, it should display a list of rows of items which can be scrollable since the game will have multiple items in the future. So the tab container contains a child node of a scroll container, and then a VBox container that will have multiple buttons. I think that should work. One other thing I wanted to change was to get rid of that single incremental button and make the entire ocean clickable. So I replaced the original button with an area 2D, making sure that it aligns with the blue ocean part, and it should be above the shop button. It feels much more satisfying to be able to click on the ocean to catch some fish. You can see the number increasing as I click on the ocean part, but something feels missing and it's very empty at the moment. Adding some animation here would make a huge difference. I wanted a fish to jump out of the water if I caught it. I struggled a bit during this animation. The fish didn't really turn out the way I wanted. After some attempt to salvage it by changing the shading and the color, I decided to discard that sketch and go with something much simpler. I redraw a simpler fish and added some shadow and ripple effects. It is as if the fish jumped out of the water. I added some distance between the fish and the shadow every next frame until it's left with the ripple and the fish disappears. I think I like this drawing better than the previous one. This animation will be spawned at the position in the area 2D where it is being clicked. After making all the code changes, I was pretty happy to see it coming together, and it feels much more interactive at this point. The shop menu now has a better UI with working tabs and item buttons. However, I haven't really set up any styling or theming yet, because that's a whole new category of settings and documentation to read and play around with. I got really curious before creating this video and decided to try and export this game to my phone. I mentioned before it would be a bucket list moment if I ended up publishing it as a small mobile game. Lo and behold, it worked, and it was an incredible feeling to see the app on my phone. Also, the wrong orientation was definitely hard to miss. Here's a screen record from my phone. Luckily, the orientation fix is very easy. I just need to change it to portrait. It's good that this was tested early on, because I wouldn't have known that my game doesn't stretch entirely on my phone screen. I think that's something I need to figure out, as well as how will it work on other phone screen dimension. Thank you for watching, especially if you're here since the beginning. If you like my content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. See you next time.